All right, so I've been thinking all day. Like, I'm becoming consumed with this. Like, what does it mean to be finished? You know, I don't think I'm ever finished. Like, I don't finish anything. Although I give workshops on how to finish art. You know, how to finish a play, how to finish a poem, how to finish writing a script, how to finish a project. Like, I know how to do that. But what I'm saying is that I don't ever feel like I'm finished, which I guess that's probably a good thing, because then you just keep working and you keep doing stuff and you keep making new projects and you just keep creating art, and that's a good thing. But I don't ever feel satisfied, you know? Like, I had a director once who said to me, you know, my first play lasted 6 years. Like, it was 6 years of my life every day. And, you know, we finally closed, and he said to me, how do you feel? Like, did you get anything out of this? Like, you know, and all I could think of was that I was like mourning the process. Like, it felt like death to me. You know, I was like, what am I going to do tomorrow? Like, I don't know what to do with my life. Like, I've been developing this work for 5 years. We ran off Broadway. I did 8 shows a week for 6 months, and now it's just over. So, you know, I locked myself in my apartment in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. I put John Coltrane's A Love Supreme on cycle, and I just let it play, and I wrote a new play. 72 hours, I had like 236 pages of a new play. And yeah, so I don't know, this right now, I just finished this movie. And so I've been thinking like in 2 parts, you know what I mean? Like, what it means spiritually, what it means emotionally, you know, what it means intellectually, but also what it means tangibly. That's the second part. Like, the first 3 things, that's the first part. Like, what does it mean for me to be finished? But, you know, what does it mean tangibly, like technically, to be finished? Okay, I'll talk about that first. So, I wrote the film, I planned it, I shot it, I edited it, I got all the music from the amazing Steve Peckman, and he brought in Barbara, well actually I brought Barbara Annell to him, he brought in Ian Smith. We got great music, great score. I edited it together, and we finished, just like I did the first time with Steve. You know, like, we made a feature film with no support, with nothing, like me and a camera. You know, the first time it was me and my phone. This time it was just me and my Panasonic S5, 2 lenses that I got for free. My father's, you know, Minolta vintage lenses, these Rocore lenses that I found in his camera bag after he died. I mean, some cheap lights, you know, the Zoom H1N audio recorder, my lavalier mic, and that was it, you know. We did it again. We made a feature film once again. And so it's finished, you know, like, worked on it for a couple of years. It was the hardest project of my life. It was about a very difficult subject. And it's actually, in fact, the end of a 3-part trilogy. It's a third and final part. And yeah, done. Final file. Got a ProRes file. I'm about to make a DCP for a theatrical release, or if I get into a big festival where they require a DCP, digital cinema package. I got other videos about that. Finished, you know, like for a while I was like, well, I was thinking, you know what? There was a question as to whether or not I could even make a DCP because I shot on my Panasonic S5 and it only shoots in 23.976 frames per second instead of straight 24. And there was a question as to whether or not you can get a DCP. And I went through all this drama and I thought I was going to have to upgrade my camera. But that was for the next project because I already shot this. So I thought I can't get a DCP, but I found out I can get a DCP. So I'm going to spend more money getting a DCP for, I don't know, for the possibility of going into a theater. But basically, making the work is finished, you know. I wrote it, I shot it, I acted in it, I did everything, we got the music, I mixed it, you know, I edited it, it's all finished. But now, it's just starting. Because now you have to honor the work, you know what I mean? Like, now you have to get it on streaming services like I did with The Center of Distance, my first feature film, you know. You have to try to get it licensed somewhere. You have to, you know, target audiences, you know, like in my case, it's going to be mental health and suicide awareness and adoption and foster care. And like I said, it's a difficult subject, but I have to honor it because the goal is to have it seen by as many people as possible, right? I mean, I know some people make art for themselves for some therapeutic reason or something like that, and that's fine, but I don't do that. Like, everything that I make, whether it be a play or a film, whatever, for me, it's to share it. Like, I just want to share the work. It's so exciting to me to think that I will be able to get into a theater with a whole bunch of people and perform a new solo play, or get into a gigantic space and screen the film again, or put it on a streaming service and get comments from people and go back and forth on social media. I mean, it's all sharing. I love that so much. So, you know, but finishing the actual just making of the project is like, it feels like death. Did I say that already about my play? Like, it just feels like it took everything out of me. Like, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, it was, I did some crazy shit during this project. Like, I almost killed myself a couple of times. Not on purpose. But, you know, I thought about it. I was like, why are you being so reckless? I don't know why I was doing that. But anyway, now it's done. And I think any creator, anybody who makes art, especially long-form art, like not a song, not a poem, but like something that takes you years to do. I think people who do that understand when you finish, it's hard. Like there's a process of letting go, of loss, you know, of like, what am I going to do with my life now? Like, I've dedicated my whole life to this. I've sacrificed so much. It's affected other people in my life. It's, you know, it changes my life every time I work on a project. It's like 5 years of my life, 6 years of my life, 3 years, 5 years. Like and you know, one day my life is going to be over. And I'll get to that in a second. But when it ends, it's not easy. You know what I mean? It's like really hard. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm mourning this process. I'm feeling the end, you know, the end of the road. You know what I mean? Like, but let me get to the spiritual and the emotional side and all that stuff. Because it's obvious, before I get into all that, it's obvious I have to try to figure out how to get marketing done and PR and stuff like that and get it out there. And like I said, find partners to, you know, to try to make something of this, you know, to try to get it out there, to get an audience, you know, to show what we just did. But the spiritual part of it is like, I want to honor it, you know what I mean? Like, I put all this into it. I have people that put so much into it with me. You know, Steve Peckman, I mean, you're going to think I hired Ennio Morricone to do the score. It's like ridiculous score. It's beautiful. It's all live. You know, I didn't just like go to a service and get stock footage or stock music or whatever. Everything in this film was either shot by me or created musically by Steve or Barbara Nell or Ian Smith. It's like, I want to honor them. You know, I owe them that. You know, I owe them my greatest effort, you know, all my energy, everything, my attention. I owe them that, and I owe myself that. And the other thing is, like, you know, it's not about my ego. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need acknowledgement. I don't need anybody to tell me if it's good or bad or whatever. I don't care. And, you know, I take criticism very well, trust me. You know, my first director, Stephen Bishop Seeley, he'll tell you, like, I'm the guy who does Q&As after every single performance that I'm on stage. Like, I'm a performing artist. I'm a solo theater artist. I literally have done a Q&A after every performance for 15 straight years. And my director used to get mad at me because he's like, it's just gonna hurt. People are gonna hurt you. But no, I didn't feel that way. You know, I learned so much from it. And that's what it's all about. And also, it usually became like talking about something other than the play, technically. We started talking about life and the things that, the reason I wrote the play, you know what I mean? Like, I try to take difficult things that people have problems talking about, like white privilege, like gentrification, like racism, like anti-Semitism, like homophobia, like xenophobia, like all of it, war, politics. Like, I try to take these difficult things and I try to turn them into beautiful art so that we can, you know, kind of like assimilate them into our bodies in a way where you like fall in love with these characters, or you know, get completely immersed in a story and you forget kind of what it's about. And you're just more present, like it's happening, you know, for the first time ever, and you're just in the middle of something new. And then when you get to the Q&A, people just kind of open up, you know what I mean? Like, they feel like they've been given permission to talk about things that it's difficult for them to talk about in their lives. They're in an audience with people who just had this experience with them. And so it's something that's really beautiful, and it's such an honor for me, you know, to conduct these Q&As and to have these conversations that become about people's lives, you know, because, you know, my goal is that sometimes I do work, I make art that's all about me, kind of, you know what I mean, like my adoption, my fostering, my family, stuff like that, you know. But as Stephen Bishop Seeley told me a long time ago, my director, he said, you know, even though this play, which was Broke Wide Open at the time, he goes, even though it's all about you, until it's all about all of us, it's not a good play. And that's what it's all about. Like, I hope that everybody in the audience sees, like, if I create characters, like I had a play called Brooklyn Quartet, and I had these 4 characters, you know. A white boy, a black boy, they were kids who, you know, we follow them from when they're kids for 20 years later, like, and we see how the world affects their lives. These kids who love each other, they grow up together, they go to elementary school, you know, middle school, high school together, they become adults, and, you know, it's a story about how the world just kind of destroys their relationships just because of who they are, a black boy, a white boy, a Latina, you know, a woman, and a young black girl. And just because of the way the world is, they struggle with one another as they get older. They didn't struggle when they were young, but, you know, as they became a part of the world and how the world treated them, and then how they looked at their differences finally between each other. And so my hope is that everybody in the audience, like every white person, saw a piece of themselves in the black characters, and all the women saw a part of themselves in the male characters, and, you know, vice versa. Like, that's what I hope for, that to get that kind of, you know, resonance and that kind of familiarity and that kind of empathy. You know, everything I do is to not, you know, it's not about my ego. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to be a celebrity. I'm not trying to be known like that. I'm trying to, you know, this sounds so stupid and pretentious, but I really mean this. Like, I'm trying to bring people together. I'm trying to make a better world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get all kinds of different people in a performance space, in a sacred space, or, you know, all kinds of different people watching my movies. And I'm trying to have them have a common experience and realize that, you know, at the end of the day, we all want the same things. You know, we all want to be warm. We want to be fed. We want to be, you know, have equality. We want to have opportunity. We want to make sure our children are okay. We want to be happy. You know, we want to be safe. We want to be loved. You know, everybody wants to be loved. Everybody. No matter who you are or where you come from. That's what everybody wants. You know, they want to know that they count, that they matter, that they exist, and that they are of equal importance to anybody else. And so that's what I try to do with my work. And so, you know, that's why I try to get the biggest audience that I possibly can, you know. And so the hard part is that when I finish a project, you know, it means, yeah, you're done, yay, you know. And then, you know, very often I get sick after I'm done because I've used everything. I've used every ounce of energy in my soul, my mind, body, and spirit. You know, I just put it out there. But now that I'm done, I'm just done with that first part. You know, now it's the second part. And, you know, tangibly, yes, like all the stuff I said. I have to contact people. I got to get marketing. I got to get PR. I got to get all of that. But I have to get the energy to honor this work properly, to honor my collaborators, to honor the people that support me. You know, I've done these fundraisers where people just give me their money. That's astounding to me all the time. I'm so humbled by that and so honored by that. And I always tell them, I will honor your support. And I do. I sacrifice everything in my life, you know. My life is hard, you know, and you know, let me backpedal a little bit on that. Like, my life ain't hard compared to so many other people in the world, you know. I mean, but, you know, I struggle, you know, to make it, to pay my bills, to take care of myself, to have relationships, to do anything. I don't really do anything other than my work, you know. I don't do anything but make art and make sure that I can stay indoors and live, you know, and pay my bills. But I don't, you know, do things that other people would consider fun. But I don't feel like I work, you know what I mean? Like, I love what I do, even though it almost kills me quite often. But I love it so much. You know, I love to write, you know, I love to rehearse. I love to rehearse. Like, I love to do the work, you know. I love to memorize my words. I love to, you know, work on my movement. I love to, you know, create characters and do character study and learn about them. I love all of it. I love performance. You know, performance for me is like my lifeblood. You know, I live for it. So I don't, you know, I'm not complaining about any of that, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I need to get my energy back up because this takes a lot out of me, you know. It takes a lot out of me physically and emotionally and spiritually. And then I have to make sure that I have 100% of myself to get to the next level, to now get this stuff out there, you know, and do it the right way and go to the right people and do it in an intelligent way. And the thing is, if I'm being really honest, I feel like if I, you know, like, I want to get this to a higher level. And again, it's not for ego reasons. I'm not trying to be a star. I don't even want that, you know what I mean? Like, I am such a private person, but I want it to be known because of what it is. I want to know that I'm making some kind of contribution in my life, you know. I don't want to feel invisible, you know. I've often told the story about when I was a little kid, you know, I dreamed that my pillow talked to me when I was a little kid, and I ran into my parents' room, and my father, you know, he came into my room and he beat up the pillow when I told him what happened. And then I didn't sleep with a pillow again until I went to college. Real talk. So one day when I was a little kid, my father came into my room and he saw that I was still sleeping on a flat bed. And he's like, yo, what are you afraid of? And I said to him, I'm afraid of being one of those people that just takes up space, like, that doesn't make any kind of contribution, that's just invisible. Like, I'm afraid of being forgotten. Like, I lived a whole life for nothing. Now, obviously, I didn't understand that he was asking me about the pillow, but that's how I was thinking when I was a little kid. And I don't know if it's because I came out of foster care and I was adopted and I was separated from my biological mother at birth and all this stuff. It could be all of that, you know, but that's how I felt, You know, like I didn't want to be invisible. And you know, I've always felt like I wanted to contribute. I wanted to make some kind of offering. I wanted to matter, you know. I wanted to be a part of this big community, you know, like, and so the only thing I really know how to do is make art. That's all I know how to do. It's my best contribution. It's my best offering. That's the best of me, is my art. And so I'm doing the best I can. And if I'm being really honest, you know, and I don't mean this to be self-deprecating, but I feel like if I don't get this to a higher level, then I'm kind of like, I feel like a failure. And, you know, I'm so proud of the work that I've done. And like I said, I don't need anybody to tell me if it's good. I know what it is. You know, I know what my work is. I know, you know. It's for you. It's for other people to say whether it's good or bad, or they like it or they don't like it. That's not for me. I'm not running around going, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, my work is the... Nah. I'm trying to take the important parts of my work and I'm trying to grow our collective empathy. That's my intention all the time. That's what I'm working at. That's why I exist. To bring people together, to talk about, like I said, racism, gentrification, white privilege, you know, war, you know, all these horrible things, you know, misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism. Like, that's the intention of my work, but I'm trying to turn it into a beautiful bed of wildflowers, you know, like something that people could go, wow, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. But why am I crying? Why am I all upset? Like, let's talk about this. And that's the thing. I want them to talk about it. And then that's everything for me. So what it means to be finished is that I believe that there's no such thing as closure. There's no such thing as finishing. There's no endings, you know, there's none of that. You know, at the end of my first play, I had, you know, I was about to open off-Broadway after 5.5 years of working, and, you know, but there was a problem. And the problem was that my director, Stephen Bishop Seeley, was mad at me because he was like, can you finish this fucking play? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you've written 226 endings. All of them are awesome. Everybody loves every one of them. Trust me. Just pick one. I'm like, what? I can't. We're going back and forth. And he's like, there's going to be people. This is off-Broadway. There's going to be real reviewers like, finish the play. And we're going back and forth. And finally, I screamed at him. I was like, yo, there is no ending. You know, and I felt that way because this play was about my very ambivalent search for my biological mother. And I never got to meet her. You know, so I couldn't write an ending. Like, everything in the play was true, and I didn't want to just make it up. You know, like I just couldn't figure it out. You know, but when I screamed, "There is no ending," he just looked at me and smiled. And he went like this, and he walked out of the theater. And I realized, oh my God! And he realized that's the end of the play. There are no endings. You know, like, I believe that there's no resolution. There's none of that. You know. Our lives are every person that we've ever met, every place that we've ever been, everything that we've ever experienced, like all of it is your life. And you carry that with you and you move forward with that knowledge and with that experience, and hopefully you grow and you evolve with that. That's the journey, and that's how I feel, you know. Maybe that's not how everybody feels, and I know a lot of people like closure and resolution, all that. And, you know, a good play is conflict and resolution, and I get it. But I feel more like, you know, like I'm carrying my whole life on my back all the time. And I'm grateful for all of it, the good and the bad, all of it, you know. I don't look at it as any of it as bad. You know, I look at it as challenging, but that's life. Life is fucking hard. And so, yeah, I got to the ending of finishing the physical film. And it's called This Is the End for Me. But now I'm gathering up my strength and I'm allowing myself to heal a little bit and take a little bit of time, because I now need to honor this work and to push it and to try to get it to a higher level and to not feel like a failure, you know, and to make sure that even if I don't get it to where I want it to be, at least I know that I gave everything that I have, and I honored the people who contributed, the people who have contributed to my fundraisers over the years, the collaborators, my creative, artistic collaborators, the people who love me and who have encouraged me over the years and inspired me, and the people who I've looked up to, like all of it, you know. I feel like it's my responsibility to give everything to every step. And, you know, when you finish, that's only the beginning. Then you have to share. You know, it's all about sharing. That's it. That's how I feel about it. And so that's what it's like to be finished. It's hard. It's like it's a gut punch, you know what I mean? Like it'll put you down for a while. It can make you sick. In my case, it does feel like death. But it's all about resilience. You know, my whole life is about resilience. You know, all my work is about resilience. Reviewers have even written that about me. And I take, you know, they've written that I'm a disruptive artist, a resilient artist, all this kind of stuff. And it's humbling for me, because that's what I hope people get from me. And I hope I give that to them. And, you know, again, I don't want to sound pretentious or like some kind of, you know, pompous asshole. I'm just telling you the truth. You know, these are my intentions. I'm not saying that I accomplish anything, you know. And I also know that nobody changes the world, and I'm not trying to change the world or anything like that. I am somebody who understands that I am a speck of sand in this ocean of humanity. But I am trying to do my tiny little part, because I feel like it's all of our responsibility, our collective responsibility, to all do our part, because that's the only way that the world is going to get better. And let's face it, we're in a very fucked up way right now in this world, from the climate to politics to war to genocide to all this stuff that's going on. Everybody needs to do their part, and my part is my art. That's what I do the best. It's the only thing that I know how to do well. So that's what it's like to be finished. And I'm going to keep doing my best. And that's what I wanted to share today. So that's what I was thinking. And yeah, I'll have my energy back in a minute, and I will get to this.